After a thrilling weekend at Daytona International Speedway, we head all the way out west for round 2 of the 1UP Turbo Truck Series season in 2023. We are at the spacious Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for 50 laps of racing action that can only be brought to you by these trucks that do such a good job at bringing us the racing action every time they take to the track. And alongside me in the booth is former Truck Series champion Ryan Griffin once again. This is going to be an interesting one. We've got a lot of good trucks starting up at the front. We got a lot of room for people to make passes. Anything can happen, really, at this place.
In my honest opinion, and this is the driver part of me, not the broadcaster part of me, this is probably one of the tracks that drivers love the most because there's so many different ways you can pass here and so many different lanes you can use. So just because you start at the back here does not necessarily mean you finish in the back here if your truck is driving right and your crews make the right adjustments. But it is going to be interesting to see. We've got some people, as you said, starting near the front that are looking to recover after having a misfortune in Daytona last week. So this is the bread and butter of our season, the 1.5 2-mile track. So this is, you got to show your stuff today if you're going to, this will give you a good gauge for how the season could shape up for you. And we could get a good idea of really who our championship contenders are, too, early championship contenders.
And with a focus being shifted from the short tracks to the big tracks from 2022 to 2023, this is going to be a big indicator of who's going to be strong for the rest of the season and who's going to contend for the championship when we get to Homestead in November. As we can now give you the starting lineup for today's 50-lap race, Brandon Smith puts his 18 truck on pole position, the rookie from Kings Motorsports looking to get his second career win in this race. Yadis Terzic in the Team Duke number 8 lines up alongside him. Kev Shearer has been aching for a win in his career. He's been wanting it for ever since he got here. He lines up third. Jacob Buchholz for Crossroads Racing, looking to rebound after a disappointing Daytona. And Zach Rogers after that heartbreaking DNF at the World Center of Racing. He rounds out the top 5. But we've got some surprises filling out the top half of the field. We've got Chris Harvey, the rookie who surprised us at Daytona in 9th. Austin Zorgan starting 10th with that alliance with Fingai Saitomi Motorsports. A lot of surprises up at the front. Could they surprise us even more going forward in this race here today?
It's gonna be something to watch, especially this Auto Club. Because of the different lines, it's just gonna be interesting to see who can find the line that works for their truck and come from the back. Because as I said, we're into the bread. This is going to be the bread and butter of the season. So today's going to be a good gauge to see what you have, and it's going to be interesting to see who can recover from Daytona well today. And again, we got one starting up front that needs recovery, and we'll see if they can get it done today. I know I've got my eggs in the basket saying that Kev Shearer is going to be a title favorite. I think this could be the race that he proves it.
So with that being said, we've got 42 trucks ready to take to the racetrack, and we are ready to bring you 50 laps of racing action, 100 miles from Auto Club Speedway. This is the 1UP's Turbo Truck Series from Auto Club Speedway, and the race coming up shortly, so stay tuned, because each lap's going to bring you some thrills you won't get anywhere else. As the pace truck rolls off, we leave it in the hands of Brandon Smith and Yadis Terzic coming to the restart zone. The green flag coming into the air right now, and the turbo trucks from Auto Club Speedway is underway. Terzic gets off to a better start than Smith on the bottom. Terzic led at the line. There's no penalty for that in this series, but Kev Shearer, he doesn't want to wait any longer. He wants to lead, and he wants it now.
Yeah, and as I said in the pre-show there that I really think this O2 is going to be, this is their challenge to show how strong they are this year, although it's his teammate that's actually going to firmly take the lead down the back straightaway here as we go into 3. And we'll also see which lane is going to be dominate today, as we saw with the 8. And, well, here comes the 8 back to the inside. The 8 may be the one to lead this lap. We'll see who leads the first lap. 18 coming back on the top. They come to the line. It will be...
Looks like... Oh, that is 18. Dead even. That's dead even at the line.
There at
yeah,
the line,
Brandon Smith definitely led the first lap, but it was a dead heat at the line. Incredible racing we've seen so far. Kev Shearer faded back to 5th coming to the line, but he's already making moves on Buchholz and Grigsby to move back up into the 3rd position where he started, and as Terzic now takes the lead from Brandon Smith, the 8 truck out in front and barreling it off into turn 3. You see them starting to form up on the top of the racetrack. That's definitely a good place to be in 1 and 2, but down in here in 3 and 4, that bottom groove is a great place to make some passes if you've got a strong enough truck to do it.
Yeah, they were almost 3 wide for second. As here comes Grigsby, and Grigsby is now racing Shear there for Kev for that position, and Shear that 0-2 is still working the inside, trying to make it work, but he really, I guess now I think he's going to get a run down here, maybe take over second, but this 18 out front, we'll see if he can hang there. We'll see which lane, again, is dominant. It looks so far like the top lane is where everybody's going, so we'll see if that continues that way as we keep going here.
Yeah, you get such a good run off the top, off of turn 2, but coming off turn 4, you really want to have clear track in front of you so you can make passes stick, just like Brandon Smith has done so far in this race. He's led every lap so far. But notice Kev Shearer is starting to inch out ahead of Terzic with a push from his teammate Zach Rogers in the 17. We'll see if those two can start to catch up to their other teammates, Smith in the 18. We'll see if they can start to pull away from the rest of the field together.
The field is also still kind of grouped together. There really appears to be just 2 lines at the moment. They are going a couple of spots of 3 wide at the moment. Right now it appears top and bottom is the way to go, and right now at 18 just trying to hold both lanes at bay as here comes his teammate in the 0-2. Shearer going to see if he can lead this lap. He's got the good run out of 4.
But I think
Smith is going to hold on at the line.
Yeah, he had the drafting help from Terzic, who's going to go down the middle of the racetrack, try and take them both going into turn 1. Terzic with the advantage of momentum, but Shearer's got the advantage of the line. And now it's going to be Brandon Smith that has the edge as they come off turn 2. There's 3 wide for the lead down the back straightaway. Any one of them could lead this lap as they come through 3 and 4.
And this is why these drivers love this racetrack. You can run just about anywhere. As we see 3 wide, and now we're 3 wide for second. As Kev kind of slid back a little bit there. He's going to see if he could try to use the momentum here in 3 and 4, where we said 3 and 4 the bottom is better. See if he can get that. Meanwhile, it looks like the 8 truck is going to lead that lap over Smith.
And don't look now, but there's Nelson Reeves in the back of that pack there in the 71. He's trying to catch up to his teammates, make this a King's Motorsports affair at the front of the field. They've already got 3 of their 4 trucks in the top 5. It's going to be interesting to see if they can get Nelson up there. This could be an absolute thrashing on the rest of the field. But we have some competitors at the front. Terzic for Team Duke. We have Grigsby for Finn and Guy Saitomi. And Billy Kidd for Robbers Racing. He didn't finish at Daytona. He's looking to rebound. And how about that red and white truck at the back? Dalton Satan for Renegade Motorsports. Remember, he had such a strong run at Michigan last year, a track very similar to this one. Could he surprise us here?
I'll give some credit there. I watched that 72. You mentioned Kidd there. He just came. He had a run coming through 3 and 4 and just kind of shot through the middle, and I think it kind of caught Grigsby off guard because he had to back off a little bit. Well, they're back to double file here, and now Smith gets the lead firm on, and the battle is for second at the moment.
But could Grigsby try and steal the lead, ringing the top of the racetrack in 3 and 4? It's not quite as good in 3 and 4 as it is in 1 and 2. But he'll certainly give it a try. Get some rubber up there, maybe make something happen. Coming to the start-finish line, again, there's such close margins to deal with in this race as Terzic led that lap. But you can see they're 3 wide for the lead, 3 wide for 4th. They're 3 wide, 3 rows deep. But Billy Kidd starting to forge out ahead of Brandon Smith. This is something we weren't expecting in the opening few laps. But now, this 72 is starting to come to life.
Yeah, but I've been watching that 72, and I mentioned him in that last little bit that he is really running 3 and 4 about the middle of the racetrack, but he gets such a run coming off of turn 4 that he's able to shoot clear of the truck that's on the outside, as we see here. It looks like, and Kidd is going to lead this lap over the 18. But yeah, I'm watching him do this move, and it seems like that's where his truck is working. He can clear the guy on the inside and the guy on the outside and get a nice little. To use the analogy, it's like a hot dog being squeezed out of a bun, just right through the middle, and he's using that momentum to his advantage.
but he might lose the lead right now because here comes Dalton Sate on a mission. He was the only one at a Renegade Motorsports trucks to not finish in the top 10 at Daytona. He wants to rectify that. He wants to have a good run here because remember, like I said, he had such a good run at Michigan last year. He finished second there, and he's trying to do one better at Auto Club Speedway, trying to get his first career win. He'll lead lap number 9.
It looks like he was doing the same thing out of 3 and 4 that I saw the 72 doing, just kind of riding that middle lane, and it's almost as if you get just a little burst of momentum on being on the inside of the truck that's on the outside of you, that you can just, even though you're technically in the middle lane, you're still getting a good enough to come off the corner and pass it on the truck. And just still the 8 truck is here. Rogers is still in this mix. Smith has not dropped off. He's still here, but he's lost a couple of positions. He's back, looks like, to about 6th, maybe 7th, but he's still in this group.
And for all this talk we had about Kings Motorsports dominating the show, we now have a Chevrolet 1-2-3 with Sate, Kidd, and Terzic at the front of the field for 3 different race teams as well. Although Renegade Motorsports and Robbers Racing do have a technical alliance, it's still 3 different teams putting these Chevrolets out in front. That is great to see. And it's such a good sight to see Dalton Sate out front leading races because he had a bit of a rough rookie season. He started the season with St. Clair Canada Racing. They folded their truck team midway through the season. He had to scramble to find some rides. He got to run most of the season, finished pretty decently. He got that 2nd place at Michigan. Now he's running the full season with Renegade Motorsports, and he is your leader here at Auto Club Speedway.
What's interesting here is people are, somebody tuned into this late, they're like, this isn't any different than Daytona. Trust me, it is worlds different. They may look like we're pack racing, but these guys, they're in almost the same way that you could pretty much run anywhere on a super speedway with help. Here you can pretty much just put your truck wherever you want it, and if that's where you want to run it, that's where it's going to run. So as we see Kidd now trying to see if he can get to the 93 at the front, and the 8 truck still hanging on there as well. And Grigsby now up to 4th. Rogers hanging there in 5th. So everybody just kind of trying to find their way here so far early. Again, we're just 13 laps into this 50-lap race. But, everybody's trying to feel out their trucks, see where they're running best, and see if they can make anything out of it, at least at this point.
So with Brian Grigsby, the highest running Ford in the race, highest running Toyota, Zach Rogers, who cuts up just in front of his teammate Brandon Smith. Now the Kings Motors, actually that's not Kev Shearer and that white truck back there. Kev's fallen out of the top 10. That's Cam Stevenson in the Ford Racing Development number 39 that's made his way up into the top 10. And look who's right alongside him, the Daytona winner. Jeremy Whalen made his way up to the front. He's in the top 10 now as Grigsby makes a move on Terzic and Kidd for 2nd.
We might want to keep an eye on Whalen, too, because he showed up really late last week, and obviously we saw what happened, so might want to just keep an eye on this 83 and see if they can go back-to-back, coming into the season. But, yeah, you got some guys starting to show up in the mix here that we didn't see, so again, I said you could pretty much run anywhere on this racetrack to gain ground as long as your truck is working good, so We'll see what happens here as the laps wind away.
And this 39 started fairly deep in the field, but he's made his way now up into the 4th position, pushing at 72, and it's still 3 Chevrolets leading the way, but I would not be surprised to see other makes start to make their way to the front. We've got 2 Fords here in Stevenson and Grigsby. Of course, you got the Kings Motorsports Toyotas, and you also have a few Ladion Autosport Toyotas making their way to the front. You see Mac Johnson and Chris Harvey back there. So a lot of variety up in this lead group, and we're not even halfway through this race yet. So and the whole top 10 separated by only a second. There's a lot of things to talk about here at Auto Club Speedway, and they never run out, especially in the early stages where these trucks battle side by side. And there's just so much to talk about. I'm running out because we've got a lot to cover. We've got trucks moving up towards the front. We got trucks moving further back. It's a constant shuffle, almost like Daytona, but like you said, very different as far as racecraft here.
But I'll say this, at least from what I'm seeing early, that 8 truck at Terzic that 8 truck looks like to be a strong truck because he has been. He's not necessarily been in second this entire time, but he's been one in that top 3, I think, since the start of this race. So, well, as I say that, as he goes 3 wide now for second, but I might want to watch that 8 truck. That 8 truck seems like they got a good handling truck under them right now, and they could be a serious player today, even though State is leading the race right now.
And we've been focusing for the last few seconds here on this 48 truck of Jeremy Frey. He had a bit of a rough start at Daytona, finished in the 20s, but this D4 Motorsports team has started to come to life in the mid stages of this race. Moved the 48 up into the top 10. He's knocking on the door actually at the top 5. He's moved up to 6th, past Cam Stevenson. And look at Nelson Reeves repping the top of the racetrack as Rogers now tries to force the issue through the middle. Is this going to work? This is going to be close.
And you see Rogers, again, coming off that fourth corner, same line I seen the 72 run, same line I saw the 95 run. They're running that middle groove. It's basically, if you look at the seams on the racetrack, it's basically lane 2 or 3 as if you're talking on an interstate. And it's just for some reason they're getting a great run off that corner. If you can put that line right, you get a great line off the corner. A good run, as we see Rogers is solidly now taking second. So maybe there's something to that line. Maybe that's the line that they need to run right now.
Maybe it is, but so far the dominant driver of the race has been this 93 of Dalton State, as Nelson Reeves actually holds the fastest lap of the race with a 40.789. He'll get a bonus point for that if he can hold it the rest of the way. I expect he will, because these tires are going to fall off quite a bit, but they don't anticipate any pit stops unless we get a yellow flag. So if we don't get a yellow, they're going to run this thing out the whole 50 laps. So if we don't get a yellow, that 71 is pretty safe as far as his fastest lap is concerned. But if I'm Dalton State, I'm not feeling safe at all, because there's 2 Kings Motorsports trucks back there, and they both want the lead.
One was the pole sitter, and the other just looks like he's got a fast truck. So, yeah, everybody's just trying to manage right now. The other thing you got to worry about too, because of the length of this race, and as you said, unless there's a caution, they're not coming to pit road, so you don't want to really abuse your tires so much here and lose, fall off way late in the race where you see yourself go from a possible top 5, to back in the mid-20s.
And look at that inside line. It's starting to form up with Zach Rogers, Turzic in the 8, his teammate Waylon in the 83, Jeremy Frey's back there, Billy Kidd. But Rogers swoops up to the top lane to fill the gap between Sate and Brandon Smith. And these Kings trucks are doing a good job staying at the front, but they're not doing what they need to as far as staying together. I noticed they keep flip-flopping top to bottom, inside outside, but it seems to be working so far. Rogers just led that lap.
Rogers again, he got the good run out of 3 and 4. Basically, the momentum of this track, you got to build momentum from basically corner entry all the way down to the straightaway. And sometimes you'll see it. You'll see a driver kind of back off a little bit corner entry, and then they try to carry as much momentum coming through, and that's exactly kind of what Rogers did there to go and lead that lap from the 93. As this 8 truck at Turzik, I'm telling you, this 8 truck, he's not being flashy. He's led already a couple laps, but he's just holding in there. He's staying there. He's not falling off. He's not falling back. I still think this 8 truck is going to have something to say about who wins and loses this race today.
And he's got his teammate now right alongside him. He's got his teammate right alongside him, Jeremy Whalen. So you're right. Those Team Duke trucks have come to play here at Auto Club. But one of the other Team Duke truck we have not seen in this race is their lead driver, Earl Sear, in the 3. He's floundering around back in the 30s. So while 2 Team Duke trucks are having a fantastic run up at the front, the other one's struggling mightily. I'm not sure what their setup sharing is like down in the Team Duke camp, but something's not right on that 3 truck.
And to add to that point, I said about comers and goers maybe we could see today, and Sear started in the top 10. He started 7th, so maybe their truck was just a qualifying truck and not necessarily a race truck yet, setup wise. And what kind of sucks about that is, you're not coming to pit road unless there's a caution. So
not much time to make adjustments. I
was gonna say, you kind of put yourself into a box at that point. But meanwhile, at the front, I said about this 8 truck, and he has taken the point from the 93. Rogers through to second. Looks like Wayland is going to get third here. There's a battle. The battle goes on for fourth, but yeah, now Rogers is going to try to look on this 8 truck.
Yeah, Terzic doing whatever he can to hold on to the lead, but Rogers, he's got an advantage on the bottom. I'm curious if this 83 is going to slide up behind his teammate in the outside groove if he ever gets the chance, because while I'm sure Terzic would love to have some help, as it looks like we have had one truck in trouble, that is the 07 of John Daniels making his first start of the season. He is well off the pace in that 07.
Something definitely wrong with that truck, because you could see even he was real slow as he got into the corner. So
yeah,
definitely something issue on that truck.
He just came out of the pits as well. Maybe he had a flat tire that needed replacing, and these tires are still cold. He's trying to work them up to temperature. Either way, he's falling way to the back of this field. 2 laps down now is John Daniels. Tough start to the season for him. He missed the field at Daytona, and now this mess that he's gotten himself in here at Auto Club Speedway. But at the front of the field, it's a 3-wide fight for the lead between Wayland, Terzic, and Rogers. Looks like now the Team Duke teammates are finally back to nose to tail in the top groove.
And the other name, we mentioned him earlier, we said about him falling off. Kev Shearer's back in the top 10 as well. I see that the white 02 back there, so he is back into this fight. We'll see if he can work his way up here in the end, as meanwhile... Terzic leads the race. You got Rogers and Wayland battling for second. Sate is still in this mix. Granted, it seems like he's struggling a little bit there on the top side. And how about this 5 truck that has suddenly joined this battle as well?
Yeah, Mac Johnson leading the charge for Ladion Autosport in this race. Johnson had a bit of a rough outing at Daytona. He was involved in that multi-car incident near the end of the race, but he's made his way up into the top 5, and he might lose his spot in the top 5, but he's solidly still in this top 10. The lead Ladion Autosport truck, and arguably the lead rookie in a race right now.
Right now, too, another thing to mention, we got Toyotas and Chevrolets. The lead Ford right now is Brian Grigsby. Is that 92 truck down there on the inside, just behind Billy Kidd there in the 72. So, we got a good little mix here of guys. I think at this point you could reach into, put their names in a hat, reach out and pull out a name. He'd be as good as we are, maybe guessing who's going to win this thing.
And the thing about the Ford contingent is, you're right, Brian Grigsby is the highest running Ford, but right near him are like 5 or 6 more right in that group. You got Jeremy Frey back there in the 48, Cam Stevenson's still there, you got Samantha Jade, Nathan Ormond, Austin Zorgan. They're all driving Fords, and they're all just on the outskirts of the top 10, trying to make their way inside of it, but we've only just passed halfway, so there's still a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, but what I'm noticing now, too, is this 8 truck. Terzic has pulled out a little bit of a gap on Rogers. Maybe 2-3 car lengths at the moment. Rogers does have help on the inside behind him, but they just don't have this momentum built up yet to make a charge at the 8.
And he's lost his teammate help, too. Jeremy Wayland's dropped back a little bit as Mac Johnson now makes a move on Rogers for second. This 5 truck has come to life in the middle part of this race with help from Billy Kidd and Kev Shearer. So move Johnson up to the 2nd spot. Could we see another first-time winner in the Turbo Truck Series in week number 2?
We were kind of joking about this off camera about how last season when I was in the booth for the Superstar races, how we had a different pole sitter for every race, or for every race last year. How about at the Truck Series, we have a different winner for every race this year? I mean, you got guys up here, all the rookies in the series this year, and a lot of them having good runs today. So we'll have to see what happens as we go here. And meanwhile, Sate has retaken second. Kidd and Johnson battle for third, and they're 3 wide for 5th.
Because remember, look at all the names in the top 5 or in top 10 that have yet to win a race in their careers. Terzic, the leader. Sate in 2nd. Johnson 3rd. Billy Kidd 4th. The entire top 5 are looking for their first career wins. You got Terzic, Sate, Johnson, Kidd, and Kev Shearer, and throw in Nelson Reeves and Cam Stevenson for good measure. They're all looking for their first career wins, and with 20 laps to go, odds are one of them might take it.
We also have to keep an eye on the veteran, the one who won last week, Jeremy Whalen, is there in that 83, trying to see if he can go back to back to start off the year. Which I know I won the title last year, but I didn't go back to back.
It would certainly be something to see that 83 start the season off with multiple wins, but he's got to get around his fast teammate, the Bosnian driver, trying to secure his first career win in one-up competition. He had such a good season in the Nitro National Series last year, just came up short of winning a race. But with Team Duke, I fully expect him to A, race for wins, and B, win races consistently, especially on the road courses where he's so strong, which is what makes this performance a bit of a surprise. But regardless, he's having a strong performance here, and we're coming to 19 laps to go. Could he hold on?
You may disagree with me, you may agree with me, it depends. I like all opinions, but I believe right now the top two best trucks are 1-2 in this race right now. I think the 8 and the 93 have been the two best trucks today. And it looks like they may end up settling this between them. And then, of course, you throw in our Daytona winner there in third. So, maybe this is the way this will play out. We'll see. I noticed that Johnson is fighting there for fourth. And, Kev Shear and Zach Rogers, they are just not going away. They're staying in it. And they've got a shot as long as they stay in it,
And while their one teammate, Brandon Smith, is fallen out of the top 10, their other teammate, Nelson Reeves, has joined them up there. Now, you see in that orange and white Reddit truck of Nelson Reeves, he's clawed his way up from the 17th starting spot. He's now racing for a spot in the top 10. As Shearer, with help from Rogers, gets a push by Mac Johnson, and Sate now making a move on Terzic for the lead down into 1.
Basically, what you have at the front here, 3 Chevrolets versus 3 Toyotas in this top 6. So it's basically a Chevy versus Toyota showdown, it seems like, here.
And the lead forward right behind them, Cam Stevenson in 7th. So this is going to be a very interesting battle as now the teammates go side by side, Terzic and Whalen. All this is letting Dalton...
Yeah, it looks like Sate did get the lead back from Terzic. So, we saw the 93 fall back there a little bit after he lost the lead, and then he charged his way back up. So, see if he can maintain it now.
Going to be very interesting to see as this race progresses. We're closing in on 15 to go. We've got 17 to go now. And Dalton Sate is just doing a methodical job keeping his competition behind him, or at least close enough to him to where he can make a charge if he needs it. But right now he doesn't need it. He's holding the lead, but albeit by a very thin margin over Terzic, and Shearer now moves up into 3rd. So, and here comes Terzic to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants the lead back.
He's in that line as we set out of turn 4, and I think he might be able to get it here down the front straightaway. I don't know. He's going to have to try to get Sate before they get to 1 and 2. And look at Shear trying to look at the middle, or he looked like he thought about taking the middle there for a second.
And remember, these tires are 35 laps old at this point. They are very much not in their prime. Although there is rubber on the racetrack to compensate for that. But these trucks have fallen off considerably since the start of the race. They were running 42nd lap times when this race started. They are now in the high 42s and low 43s. So these guys are just slipping all over this racetrack, trying to keep as much grip as they can, as we're 4 wide for a spot in the top 5.
Johnson, Kidd, Rogers, and Reeves 4 wide for the position as they come through the front straightaway. But yeah, back to what you were saying, this is where we're going to see who has the best handling truck as these tires go, and that could be the difference maker as we see both the 93 and the 8 still in the top 2 positions. Whalen trying to see if he can take over 3rd, but it looks like Shearer will hang on to that. And Kev's going to have his teammate Rogers behind him as they come into 3.
And Kev Shearer, he keeps contending for race wins like this. It's only a matter of time before he gets one. He had such a strong rookie season last year. If he had made the playoffs, he would have been your champion last year. His season was so strong. But he's back for his first full campaign with Kings Motorsports, and with just about 14 laps to go, he's making a charge at it. He's going for the lead now on Sate.
And Kev badly wants to get that win. I mean, he's stated on numerous occasions how badly he wants it. Well, he's in a position here. It's just going to be a matter of playing it right. And so far, he's played it right today. As he had a little brief period in this race where he was kind of nowhere to be seen, but he's able to pull his way back into the top 5, and now here he is, basically in the top 5 with a chance to fight for it. So, see what they can do.
It'll be very interesting to see how this O2 progresses for the rest of this race, as we now have 13 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. Dalton Sate has been the dominant driver of this race. He and Terzic have combined to lead over half this race, but I still think Kev Shearer and Zach Rogers, they're going to have something to say about the outcome here. And this whole field is spreading out a little more because the tires are starting to wear, although the front of the field is still very much packed together. And we've got some new faces in the top 10. Samantha Jade in that gray 25, she started pretty deep in the field and is now up in the top 10. Nathan Ormond in the 38 after his DNF at Daytona. He's up in the top 10 now, and Brandon Smith's back there as well, as Kev Shearer goes to the lead for the first time tonight.
Yeah, there was actually 2 things that happened there. Terzic really took it wide in 3 and 4, and he kind of backed up a little bit, and at the same time, Shearer got such a great run through 3 and 4, he just stuck it to the inside of the 93 and took the point. And I was getting ready to say that, you know, we've seen the 93 and 8 be able to pass each other and lead laps. But we really haven't seen anybody else kind of get up there to, you know, actually pass these guys, challenging them for the lead. Well, Shear's trying to do it now. I mean, he's really showing his stuff now.
And we're coming to 11 laps to go, and he's side by side with Dalton Sate for the race lead. This is just going to be a very interesting battle for the rest of this race. Sate led at the line, but only barely over Kev Shearer. This is going to be a dogfight. 2 drivers, maybe as many as 3 or 4, looking for their first career wins, but I think Shearer is going to clear off a 2, but he stays down low. That's going to allow Sate back to his outside.
And Sate has that 8 truck right behind him. I still think these are the 2 best trucks we've seen all day, although it really looks like this O2 has come alive here late. It's just that Shearer seems kind of hesitant, like he doesn't want to pull up on the backstretch. He gets the run, like here, he'll get the run and get out there, but he just doesn't want to pull up. And I don't know if that's just him just trying to be careful and make sure that he's in it at the end, but with 10 to go, he is going to be your race leader.
And by quite some margin, 1/4 of a second's advantage over Dalton Sate and Yadis Terzic. But Zach Rogers moves up into second. That can only be good news for Kev Shearer. He's got a teammate back there to help him. And he's got an alliance partner back there as well in Mac Johnson in the 5. So he's got some friends back there, but not on that outside line because Terzic and Sate have now swapped places, and they are making a push on the top of the racetrack.
But I do believe that Kev is in the right position here in 3 and 4, running that lower line. That's the better line. We've seen it today, really, the middle of the low line, because we've seen a couple of passes through the middle there, but that seems to be the better line in 3 and 4. As we can see, he pulls out a little bit of a gap as they come to 9 to go.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting from here on out to see what unfolds, because Kev has been in this position before. He knows how to win and he knows how to lose races from this position. But he needs to find a way to buck that trend and find a way to victory lane. And so far, he's doing what he needs to do. I just wish he'd pull up to that top groove and cement it even further. Maybe his truck just doesn't handle as well up there. He's tried it before in this race. Maybe it didn't work out, and he finds himself more comfortable down on the bottom. Time will tell. We're closing in on the end of this thing.
I'm going to say something, and I think it almost would make sense why the O2 is running down there. The inside line's been the line that we've seen. It's been the preferred lane. I think that's why Kev is staying down there, because if you watch out of turn 4, you know, we've seen how good that low line is. He knows if he stays there, that he might be able to keep the advantage in what could be a drag race to the finish line. So that may be a bit of a strategy play by the O2 team to stay down there.
One wild card factor we've yet to bring up in this race, John Daniels in the 07. We mentioned his issues before. He's back up to speed now, and he's just unlapped himself from Kev Shearer and the rest of the pack. He's now back to being only 1 lap down, and credit that to the fact that his tires are about 25 to 30 laps fresher than everybody else's. So he can rocket off into the distance while the rest of the field battles it out for the win behind him.
And see what that could do, though, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think he's going to be well
And I
clear
hate to
the
interrupt.
field, so I don't think
It
it'll.
looks like we've got another truck slow off pace, and it's Noah Hart in the 11. We're hearing reports he might be down a cylinder on that Crossroads Racing Chevrolet. It's so close to the end. It sucks to see for a team that needs a morale boost, but he will finish far down the order in this one. But Shearer now trying to fend off Terzic has become the 6 laps to go.
And you see, this is going to be interesting to see what this 8 truck does because we've talked about it so much about the inside being key, and I think that's more than likely. I think that's why the O2 is down there and they haven't pulled up. It'll be interesting to see, as strong as we've seen the 8 truck, can he make this pass on the top side? Because I think that's what Kev is going to force him to do. He's going to force him to use the lane that hasn't been the preferred lane throughout today.
And how about these two Fords on the inside? Ormond and Jade, they have fought their way up into the top 10. And they're now the ones giving a helping hand to Kev Shearer on the bottom. This is going to be very interesting to see. We're coming to 5 laps to go. Could one of those Fords be the ones that help Kev Shearer to victory lane? But it's going to be close. Terzic is going to lead the lap this time as we come to 5 laps to go.
And I said, how is the 8 going to do it? Well, his answer may actually be Kev Shearer's teammate. It may be the draft help he gets maybe from the 17 that does it. But up the front, it is Kev Shearer. And how about, you mentioned him, how about this 38? Where'd he come from? Nathan Orman at 38. Damn.
He started this race back in the 24th position, and it took him a while to get here, but he is up at the front when it matters most. He's another one trying to get his first career win, along with Shearer, Terzic, and these others. So don't count Nathan Ormond out of this. He might have been saving his tires in the midfield for so long, but now he's realized it's time to go, and he's gone. He's gotten to the front, and he's running in the top 3 with now 4 laps to go.
4 to go, and you know what? I said this race could be comers and goers, and I mentioned earlier about the tires. If that's what that 38 team did, then that's that's brilliant. I mean, here they come. You haven't seen them all day, and yet when it matters most, here they are in the top 3 fighting for a chance at it. And really, at this point, I think I'd really say this 02 and this 8, it's going to be determined about whether or not this 8 can make the pass on the top. I think that's what's going to determine this. Because we only have a handful of laps to go. We're going to come to 3 to go here.
And remember, the truck pushing the 8 now is Kev Shearer's teammate in Rogers. He's not going to want to help the 8 try and steal a win away from the 02. But he might not even get the chance because this 38 is on a charge. He's going to try and make a move for second as we only have 3 laps left in this race.
3 laps. It'll be 4 miles next time by. But this 38. But if he can get clear, can he build a run enough to make a charge at this 02? But you know, if the 38 and the 8 stay busy racing each other, this might be all Kev Shearer needs to see.
Coming to 2 laps to go, and this is the biggest lead we've seen anybody have in this race so far. Kev Shearer doing absolutely everything he can do to try and get his maiden Turbo Truck Series win. It's taken him a little longer perhaps than he wanted, but we're coming to 2 laps to go. He's got a lot of room in his rearview mirror. Now, I think he can focus on running his own race, because Ormond and Terzic are fighting each other back there. Although, I think Ormond's actually going to clear the 8. This is going to be close between those two. If Ormond can clear Terzic, that might be something Kev needs to worry about.
I'll say this, though. If this 02 holds on, there's going to be some drivers in here that are happy to see him get this, because he is... It's been known, and even being a competitor of Kev's last year, how much this would mean to him to finally win in the truck and win a race. And you know, he'll be coming to the white flag here. And I honestly think at this point, I think the 8 and 38 are racing each other. I think this 02 is going to come around and take it.
And you were right about that last week at Daytona when you said Jeremy Whalen would come around and take it. The white flag is out. We've only got 2 more miles of racing to go for Kev Shearer, and boy, wouldn't this be a spectacular win for him. As he rounds turn 2 for the final time, he sticks to his patented line on the bottom. He seems to like it down there, and so far, it's worked brilliantly. Ormond clears Terzic for second, but that's not going to matter to Kev Shearer. He roars down the back straightaway for the final time, diving it off into turn 3. Ormond's not quite clear of the 8, but he's going to try and stick his nose down, coming through 3 and 4 for the final time.
we're finally going to get our answer. You know, we kept asking, when is he going to win? When is he going to win?
In
It's
his
tonight.
in
Kev
his in
Shear.
his 17th time of asking, Kev Shearer comes to the start finish line to win in the Turbo Truck Series at long last at Auto Club Speedway. First career win for the young O2 driver. What an incredible accomplishment this has been to see tonight. Nathan Orman, man, he saved his tires for the end and it paid off. He comes home second for a career best result. Dalton Sate led the most laps in this race. I'm sure he'll be happy with a third place result here. Terzic did everything he needed to do in fourth, and Mac Johnson, he was up there all night. He got himself a top 5. Billy Kidd comes home in 6th, ahead of Francois Chastain in that one truck. We didn't mention him at all. He snuck his way in late to come home 7th, ahead of Rogers in 8th. Jeremy Whalen gets his second top 10 in a row in 9th, and Jeremy Frey for D4 Motorsports rounds out the top 10. But boy,
I like the irony of the margin of victory. The 38 truck ends up second. The margin of victory, 0.38. 0.38 is the margin of victory for Kev Shear. And as a competitor, again, as a competitor of his last year, you really feel happy for him. This is one he's been trying for, and it finally paid off tonight.
And it only took him 2 races to get his first win this season. Imagine how many he'll rack up with still 18 races left to play for this season. He staked his... You said earlier in this race, this is the time for Kev to stake his claim as a championship contender. He went and did just that tonight.
And I really think that, as you said, I think this could be the first of many this season for this O2 team, and this may just be the momentum boost they need to make a run at that championship.
So from Ryan Griffin and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Auto Club Speedway as night falls on this 2-mile oval. We love it here. We love racing here. Kev Shearer loves it here. He gets his first career win in the 1-Up Turbo Truck Series after so many close calls. There can't be many dry eyes in the house as Kev Shearer finally gets it done. He's got his first career win, and how many more can he get between now and the end of 2023?